Over the millennia, our planet has borne witness to events of extraordinary power and tragedy. These moments, etched into the collective memory of mankind, serve as stark reminders of the fragility of life and the awesome forces at play in our world. From the depths of the ocean to the heights of the sky, from the bustling heart of civilizations to the shadow of erupting volcanoes, we will journey through time, exploring these pivotal events. Prepare yourself to be humbled by the sheer scale of these events, to be moved by the stories of those who perished, and to gain a newfound appreciation for the preciousness of life. The night was calm, the sea like glass, as the unsinkable RMS Titanic, a behemoth of iron and steel, sliced through the icy waters of the North Atlantic. At 11:40 p.m., a ghostly white iceberg materialized from the darkness, an unyielding monolith in the path of the seemingly unstoppable vessel. The collision when it came seemed almost innocuous, a glancing blow, a shudder through the ship's massive frame. But deep within the belly of the Titanic, the icy hand of the sea reached in, tearing through her hull, and the unthinkable began to unfold. Panic, slow at first, began to grip the passengers as the terrifying reality set in. In the early hours of April 15, 1912, the Titanic, once a symbol of human ingenuity and ambition, slipped beneath the waves, taking with her over 1,500 souls to their icy graves. The world watched in horror, forever marked by the tragedy of that fateful night. In the shadow of Mount Vesuvius, a slumbering giant lay Pompeii, a vibrant Roman city teeming with life. On the morning of August 24, 79 AD, the earth trembled, a monstrous roar splitting the air as Vesuvius awoke from its slumber. A towering column of ash and pumice shot skyward, blotting out the sun and casting an eerie pall over Pompeii. Then the sky began to rain fire, molten rock and ash, a deadly hailstorm, poured down upon the city. Panic gripped the inhabitants as they scrambled for safety, their screams swallowed by the roar of the volcano. The very air they breathed became superheated, searing their lungs, and within hours Pompeii was entombed beneath a pyroclastic flow. A deadly avalanche of molten ash and gas, moving at terrifying speed. The city, and its inhabitants, were frozen in time, a chilling snapshot of life in a Roman town, a stark reminder of the unforgiving power of nature. The world stood poised on the precipice of change in the summer of 1945. World War II, a conflict of unprecedented brutality, raged across the globe. But on the morning of August 6th, a new chapter, terrifying in its implications, was about to be written. High above the Japanese city of Hiroshima, the Enola Gay, a B-29 bomber, carried within its belly a weapon unlike any the world had ever seen. At 8:15 a.m. local time, the bomb detonated above the city, unleashing a blinding flash of light and a wave of unimaginable heat. Buildings vaporized in an instant, leaving behind only shadows etched into the ground. Hiroshima, once a bustling city of over 350,000 souls, lay in ruins, its streets littered with the dead and dying. The atomic age had dawned, and with it, a new era of fear. In the year 1346, a darkness descended upon Europe, a chilling premonition of the horrors to come. From the bustling ports of Italy, a silent killer, carried within the bodies of fleas that infested rats aboard merchant ships, began its relentless march across the continent. The Black Death, a bubonic plague of terrifying virulence, had arrived. It struck swiftly and mercilessly, leaving in its wake a trail of agonizing death. Victims suffered from grotesque swellings, their bodies racked with fever, their skin blackened by hemorrhaging beneath the skin. Fear, like a contagion itself, spread faster than the plague. Towns and villages, once vibrant centers of life, were transformed into charnel houses, the air thick with the stench of death. By the time the Black Death had run its course, it had wiped out an estimated 50 million people, a third of Europe's population. The world, forever scarred by the plague's devastating touch, would never be the same. On a clear September morning, as the sun glinted off the skyscrapers of New York City, a day that began like any other would descend into an unimaginable nightmare. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The world watched in disbelief as smoke and debris billowed from the iconic building. 17 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower. Panic swept through the city as the horrifying reality set in. The Twin Towers, symbols of American economic might, were ablaze. Inside, trapped on the upper floors, people desperately sought escape. The attacks of September 11, 2001 claimed nearly 3,000 lives, forever changing history. In the early hours of April 26, 1986, a disaster of unimaginable proportions unfolded at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine. During a routine safety test, a sudden power surge ripped through reactor number 4, resulting in a catastrophic explosion. The reactor core, its radioactive heart exposed, spewed forth a plume of deadly radiation, a silent, invisible killer, into the atmosphere. Firefighters, unaware of the invisible danger they faced, battled the blaze with heroic courage, their bodies absorbing lethal doses of radiation. The Chernobyl disaster, the worst nuclear accident in history, released 400 times more radiation than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The long-term health effects, including cancer and birth defects, continue to plague the region to this day. The streets of Sarajevo, bustling with life on a sunny summer's day in 1914, held little hint of the cataclysm that was about to unfold. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie, arrived in the city on an official visit, unaware that their carriage would soon become the epicenter of a global conflict. Amidst the crowds lining the streets, a group of assassins, Serbian nationalists seeking to break free from Austro-Hungarian rule, lay in wait. Their target, the Archduke himself. The first attempt failed, a bomb thrown at the Archduke's car exploding prematurely. Undeterred, one assassin, Gavrilo Princip, a 19-year-old student, found himself face-to-face with the Archduke's car, which had taken a wrong turn. Princip seized the opportunity, firing 2 fatal shots, striking the Archduke and his wife. What began with an assassin's bullet in Sarajevo would soon engulf the world in the horrors of World War I. In the depths of the Guyanese jungle, a community called Jonestown, led by the charismatic but deeply troubled preacher Jim Jones, promised its followers a utopian escape from the evils of the outside world. People, disillusioned with life in America, flocked to Jonestown, seeking solace and a better life. But behind the facade of paradise lurked a sinister reality. Jones, increasingly paranoid and controlling, held his followers in a web of fear and intimidation. On November 18, 1978, the world watched in horror as the nightmare of Jonestown reached its tragic climax. Under Jones's orders, more than 900 people, including over 300 children, drank cyanide-laced Flavor Aid in a mass suicide ritual. Hundreds of bodies, sprawled around a vat of poisoned drink, lay silent, a testament to the terrifying power of a cult leader and the tragic consequences of blind obedience. The Hindenburg, a marvel of German engineering, a behemoth of the skies, represented the pinnacle of airship travel in the 1930s. But on May 6, 1937, the Hindenburg's majesty would be consumed by tragedy. As the airship approached Lakehurst Naval Air Station in New Jersey, completing its transatlantic journey from Frankfurt, Germany, disaster struck. A fire, small at first, erupted near the tail section, quickly engulfing the Hindenburg's highly flammable hydrogen gas. Within seconds, the airship, once a symbol of progress and human ingenuity, was transformed into an inferno, its skeletal frame consumed by flames. Screams filled the air as passengers and crew leaped from the doomed airship, their desperate bids for survival captured in horrifying detail by newsreel cameras. The Hindenburg, once the pride of a nation, crashed to the ground in a fiery heap, claiming the lives of 36 souls and marking a turning point in the history of air travel. The Battle of Stalingrad stands as one of the most brutal and costly conflicts in history. From August 1942 to February 1943, Stalingrad became a cauldron of death and destruction. German forces clashed with the Red Army in a bitter struggle for every inch of the city. The fighting was hand-to-hand, brutal, and unforgiving. Buildings were reduced to rubble, streets littered with bodies, starvation and disease stalked both sides. The German Sixth Army was ground down by the Soviet counteroffensive. By February 1943, nearly 2 million lay dead. Stalingrad became a chilling symbol of the human cost of war. And so, we conclude our journey through some of history's darkest chapters, moments where the fragility of life and the immense power of nature and human conflict converged with devastating consequences. These events, as tragic as they were, serve as stark reminders of the preciousness of life, the importance of resilience, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Let us honor the memory of those who perished by striving to create a world where peace, understanding, and compassion prevail.